in a silver refining process who realize that Yahweh wants to refine them through the refiner's fire to make their lives a brass offering. Brass is what? Finished, accomplished, and polished. Amen? I said amen? Amen. Brass is symbolic of finished, accomplished, and polished. The people who serve Yahweh without ulterior motive, not to gain but to give, for it is more blessed to give than to receive. Ask yourself, where do I fit in attitude-wise in my lifestyle, in my gift, in my priesthood before Yahweh? I don't think you understand what's going on here. Moshe was not allowed to receive anything thrown in the offering. It had to be gold, silver, or brass. You know any pastors like that? I'm not taking that $1,000 from you because you are an adulterer. You're living in fornication. Your mouth is filthy. I can hear your dirty tongue coming through the walls. It's so loud and obnoxious. And you live one way during the week and another way on Shabbat. And Yahweh said to Moshe, throw it out. When they give it, throw it out. How many pastors like that do you know? Not to pride ourselves, not to blow our own horn. But there was a family here, I remember. And this may appear to be self-serving, but certainly it's not self-serving, so I'm just going to deliver it anyway. There was a family here, and they were high rollers, baby. They were on staff with Tequila, you remember, with Morris Cirillo Ministries. And when they threw stuff in there, there was a minimum $2-3 grand at a time. Minimum. They used to drive BMWs at 100 miles an hour down Biscayne just to show off on Sunday. I threw the whole family out. I did not keep the money. You know why? Because when the service was over, they were opening the scriptures from South Africa, showing everybody that Yeshua is not Yahweh, and that he was created, and that he's not Yahweh in the flesh.
Wow.
So him, with the $3,000, the whole mishpacha went out the door. Now, I know that sounds self-serving, and it probably is to a degree. However, I'm trying to make a point. We can't just receive something if our heart, and that's the way the Father acts toward us, the Heavenly Father. We could have the head covered, we could have the tzitzit, we could have the shofar, it doesn't matter. Is what we're doing, are we doing it because the overriding motivation is love for Yahweh? Because Rav Shaul said, it is the love of Yeshua that constrains us. Shemot 36:3. If you don't love Yeshua more than mother, father, child, daughter, you are not his disciple. You cannot be his disciple. I never saw this until I taught it the first time, but I'm talking about the gift of service. Service is a gift. It is a desire to serve Yahweh without title, without position, without status, to come, to see a need, and to meet the need with the approval of the authorities of the Kehillah, but to meet the need and not look to someone else to meet the need. Then you got a servant's heart. That's good. That's tov. Verse 3. And they received from Moshe all the offerings which the children of Israel had brought for the work of the service of the Kadosh place, the Mishkan, in the Ohel Moed, in the Midbar, to make it complete. Shemot 36:3. Exodus 36:3. They brought to him, notice, free will offerings every morning. That spirit of Nadu, that willing spirit. See, a willing spirit cannot be divorced from a willing heart. If you have a willing heart, you have a willing spirit. What is a willing spirit? Someone's sick, someone's in the hospital. You don't wait for a phone call. As soon as you know that there's a need, you go and you meet that need on your own. I'm not saying I do it all the time. I'm not saying you don't do it all the time. I'm saying that's a willing spirit. You don't wait for someone to call you up and tell you, please go visit that person in the hospital. You know that as a minister of Yahweh, as a Kohen of Yahweh, that's part of your calling, that's part of your job. You know that.
That's our Pia.
Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Thank you, sister. Just so that you gave us some clarity, we appreciate that. She gave us a little clarity of the kind of person we're talking about. And they brought to Moshe free will offerings every Shabbat because Yahweh demanded Shabbat keeping. Is that what it says? Every morning. So we must ask ourselves a question. Do we bring our free will offerings to Yahweh and His leaders and His work on a daily basis? You know what the answer to that is? Because Monday I'm golfing, Tuesday I'm worrying, Thursday I'm pulling out my hair, Friday I'm putting out fires. I'm getting so busy that every day I'm not fully serving Yahweh and His purposes and His cause. Busyness is your worst enemy. Clutter in your life. I'm telling you, until we learn time management, we cannot faithfully discharge the duties of Yahweh. Every one of us is challenged to learn time management. Every one of us. It's a challenge. You may not be able to pick up the phone. You may not be able to return the call. That's why we don't use the phone on Shabbat. We don't use cell phone. Don't tell me about your Shabbat Shalom when you're answering the phone every 5 minutes. I don't want to hear it. Because it's the same stuff that happens on Wednesday. The phone rings every 5 minutes. You've got to discipline and not answer. On Shabbat, I don't answer the phone. Period. Unless you're expecting an important call, that's a little bit different. But generally speaking, so they brought Moshe the free will offerings every morning. Notice, when we're building Yahweh's tabernacle, symbolic of His kingdom, His greater purpose, we don't freely, notice, willingly decide every morning what to do. We give ourselves, notice, within an established order. What order? The order of Melchizedek. Meaning, let me bring this home to you even more. You have 2 hours a week to donate. You could either be a candy striper at the hospital, or you could take that same hour and go wash Althea's house, clean her house, or help Daryl with something. So it's not just a matter of having a willing heart. It's to offer either gold, silver, or brass, but not to the charity of your choice. And that's a big challenge. Who the heck is he to tell me where to give my time and my money? Well, I'll tell you, if you're part of Yisrael, you are free to freely give, but you are, every morning, your time, your money, your life, your service to Yahweh, but through the channel or through the authority structure or the kingdom structure that He has placed in your life. If I gave a $1,000 donation, don't look at me like that, Raul. If I gave a $1,000 donation to Charles Stanley, would I be obeying Yahweh? He's not preaching what we believe. He's not preaching Torah observance. I just can't go, and if I don't do it willingly and in the right soil, the soil of His planting, then I am not going to expect the benefits of sowing willfully, and it's not a willing offering. It's not. In order to be willing, it must be gold, meaning for the purity of the king. I'm here today, you know why? For the purity of the king. Do I want to be here? Not necessarily. Are there other places are there other things I could be doing? But why am I here? For the purity of the king. And that means I'm a disciple. I have forsaken my convenience to serve inconveniently, but to put Him first and myself second. And so my lifestyle is apparent that it's a lifestyle of silver, a life of a refined, being refined Talmud, knowing that ultimately I will become a brass offering if I give freely every morning. In other words, you can clean your house once a week. You can go to work 5 days a week. You can drop your children off 2 days a week. But when it comes to willingly serving Yahweh, it is a full-time occupation. I don't care if you used to smile when you used to come to synagogue. The question is, how you doing today? I don't care if you used to clean. The question is, what are you doing today in the service of Yahweh? It's not where you were or how you were, it's where you're headed now. Morning by morning, we must give these free will offerings to Yahweh. His work, his favorite ministry, his favorite works. Meaning, don't just give your free will offering. And I'm not talking about money, because I know the way the devil works. We're not talking about money. We're talking about time. We're talking about management, resources. Our employer gets more of our resources and our time, sometime, than Yahweh and our family. You're asking me what I would do? I'd quit my job. Any devil that tried to control my time, that puts Yahweh and my family on the back burner, has got to go out the door, because they're not my provider. Yahweh is my Yireh. So look at verse Shemot 36:7. They brought to Moshe free will offerings. Notice, they didn't call up what? Goodwill. They didn't call up what? What's that place with a truck in Fort Lauderdale? Faith Farm. Hello? Is this Faith Farm? Before you think about Faith Farm, ask this. To whom were the people of Israel commanded to give their offerings? To an ordained receptacle, a Kohen, to receive those things. Only Moshe and the ordained authority can receive those things. Do you understand what I'm saying? Well, Rabbi, I want you to know on Monday I do this and on Tuesday I do this. Yes, I understand. No problem. That's told. But what are you doing at B'nai Yeshua Synagogue? I'm assuming Yahweh has put you here. And many of you are doing the Tov stuff. But don't wait for the phone call. Don't wait for the email. Come and say, you know, I see a need for dance instruction, and I want to use my gifts. What do you think, Rabbi? See, you saw a need, right? And you volunteer yourself. And Monday, and Tuesday, and Wednesday. Look at verse 4. Shemot 36:4. All the wise men that were doing the work of the Kadosh plagues came every man from his work that they made. And they spoke to Moshe saying, the people bring much more than enough for the service of the work which Yahweh commanded us to make, the Ohel Moed. And Moshe gave an order, and they caused it to be proclaimed throughout the camp, saying, let neither man or woman make any more work for the offering of the Kadosh place. The people were restrained from bringing. Why? Because Yahweh does not want us to keep offering free will offerings to a need that has been met. And how do we know if a need has been met? Because there should be elders in the camp that'll tell you, now the need is in the hospital ministry. Now the need is in the homeless ministry. Now the need is in the evangelistic ministry. In other words, that's why the elders are there, not to dominate, but to point you in a direction so you know where to give freely and with a willing heart. Make sense? How many times have you heard me say, think about it, let's be honest. We're doing fine. We don't need extra right now. You guys are doing fine, we're okay. You've heard me say, right? We're not going broke, we're going out of business. None of you haven't heard me. If it's not happening, I don't say those things. So they were so willing, their hearts were so right to further and further and further. They weren't thinking, when are we going to get to the promised land? When am I going to be able to pay my bills? They were saying, no, more to Yahweh, more willing to Yahweh, more selfless gifts to Yahweh, more gold to Yahweh, more silver to Yahweh, more brass to Yahweh. In other words, it was how much of themselves they could give. They weren't thinking about the promised land, and they weren't thinking when the wilderness experience would be over. Is that like some of us? We want to get out of the wilderness experience. Right? Let's be honest. That's okay. But while we're in the wilderness, what are we building? What are we sowing to? What are we building up? We should be building up freely, from a free will, a willing heart. A heart that is what? Nadu. Nadu. Nadu, can do. Amen? But then it comes to the point where the leadership, hopefully hearing from the Ruach HaKodesh. So in other words, I want you to get this. There was a channel of giving, and there was also a channel of redirecting the resources in another direction. Meaning the people of Israel never stopped giving, notice, but it was the leadership of Israel that redirected that giving to other needs that were more apparent and that were more appropriate at that time. Amen? So it's not the size of the gift or the amount of the gift, it is the amount of the willing heart and the willing spirit. And those two are attached. If you have a willing heart, you're going to have a willing spirit. You're not going to need someone to go over to you and say, can you please do this? Can you please help out here? Can you please be an usher? No, you're going to take it upon yourself to do these things. You're going to take it upon yourself to step into service. How do we enter the ministry? Ready? Everyone today can officially be ordained to the ministry. Ready? Find the need. Don't ignore the need. Open your eyes to the need. Run it by the leadership, and then go meet that need, and don't wait for somebody else at Rebbetzin Rivka to do it. You're in the ministry. Congratulations. It's as easy as that. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. How do we get our van? Did we work the phones? Did we do telemarketing? No. Someone whose life was silver on their way to being brass said, you know something? I need this van to get to and from work around Dade County. But the people of Yahweh, there's an evangelistic outreach starting and a homeless ministry starting, and they need it more than I need it. He saw a need and didn't say, don't worry, Yahweh, Jehovah Jireh, brother. No, he didn't. He went out and he met that need. Look at verse 4. And morning by morning. This is a morning by morning thing. Look at verse 3. Shemot 36:3. We bring the free will spirits in our hearts willingly, and then Yahweh will take it. Conversely, if we don't bring it willingly with a willing heart, it is an offering for goodwill, not for the kingdom. In order to be Yahweh's offering, it has to be given willingly. Does that make sense?
Amen.
And they spoke to Moshe saying, ay, look, the people bring much more than enough for the work which Yahweh commanded to me. And Moshe gave an order, and they caused it to be proclaimed throughout the camp, saying, neither let man or woman make any more work for the offering of the Kadosh place. The people were restrained from bringing. Oh, how many rabbis would love to have that problem, Britt? Yo, guys, no, too much money, too many checks, too much rate. Please, you need it. No, how many would love to have that problem? Verse 7, for that which they had was, now don't miss this, that which they had was sufficient for the work of Yahweh to be made, rather, yea, verse 7, it was too much. Listen, where Yahweh guides, Yahweh provides. I'll say that again. Where Yahweh guides, Yahweh provides. If Yahweh is not providing, bad news. He's not guiding. Let me put it another way. Yahweh's work, done Yahweh's way, never lacks Yahweh's provision. You ever notice some people serve Yahweh and they have all the things they need in order to serve Yahweh? Did you ever notice that? Others try the same thing and they go bankrupt. Why? Let's try to figure it out. Let's try to figure it out. Yahweh's work, Tehillah, done Yahweh's way, never lacks Yahweh's provision. So if we're lacking Yahweh's provision, either I'm not doing Yahweh's work, or I am doing Yahweh's work, but I'm not doing it His way. So all you missionaries and evangelists and apostles that are listening to me over the internet, not yet, in 2 weeks, if you got the call and you got the right gold, then you're not doing it the right way. Or you are doing it the right way, and you got the right Elohim, Yahweh's work, done Yahweh's way, never lacks Yahweh's provision. So if I'm lacking Yahweh's provision, I'm either not doing His work, or I'm not doing it His way. Maybe it is His work, but maybe it's not the way He wants it implemented. Maybe I am called and anointed, but maybe I'm not doing it in humility and servanthood with the right willing attitude, and so I lack Yahweh's provision. I'm going to tell you something. Some of y'all are broke. You know why you're broke? It is Yahweh's will for you to prosper. It is Yahweh's will to bless you. And you're probably doing Yahweh's work, but you're not doing it His way. You're not doing it with a willing lev and a willing heart, where morning by morning you seek to bless the channel. This is not a la carte believism, where you can watch the golf channel or the cooking channel. No, there's a channel.